Okay, good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the Richmond City Council meeting of Monday, November 27th, 2023 to order. May I have a motion on the minutes? Any discussion, any errors or omissions? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. I should mention at the outset that there was a motion presented by Councillor Heed, who is not able to join us tonight. Anyway, it's on a naloxone program that will be going over to General Purposes Committee meeting next week, Monday, December the 4th. Madam Clerk, any agenda additions or deletions?
None, Your Worship.
Okay. So we come to a very special part of our City Council meeting tonight. We are celebrating the induction of some very celebrated Richmond sports personnel to the Richmond Sports Wall of Fame. The Richmond Sports Wall of Fame recognizes individuals and teams who have attained a very high level of achievement and contributed to sport in 8 different categories: athlete, master's athlete, team, coach, official, builder, pioneer, and special achievement. Now, sometime after tonight's ceremony, we invite all of you to visit the Richmond Sports Wall of Fame and the accompanying digital kiosk on display at the Richmond Olympic Oval as part of the History of Sport in Richmond exhibit. The Wall of Fame provides an opportunity to celebrate our rich history of sport and recognizes the outstanding contributions of the inductees to the community. Today's inductees, one individual and a team, they joined an esteemed group of 53 individuals and teams that have previously been inducted. I would like to start by acknowledging the Wall of Fame nomination committee, who worked very hard in screening the various nominations. We have Council Representative Councillor Andy Hobbs. We have a member of the Richmond Sports Council, Bob Jackson, and we also have the chair of the nominating committee, Rick Henderson. And I'd like Rick, who is with us tonight, to come up and say a few words. Rick, let's hear it for Rick.
Thank you, members of council. First thing, I disavow being chairman. The chairman's away on holidays, and I'm here as the poor representative. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the induction ceremony for the class of 2023 of the Richmond Sports Wall of Fame. Now I'm going to talk to you a bit about process. I know you all came here tonight hoping you'd hear about process, but I really don't want to talk to you too much about the details. I just want to let you know that being inducted to the Sports Wall of Fame is not a walk in the park. You have to go through an analysis by members of the nominating committee, which I'm a member, based on terms of reference from the city, by selection criteria from the city, and then going through all of that process for us, the nominating committee, to provide our answers to City Council. City Council makes the decisions. We just do, I guess, a little bit of the review work to be able to put it in their hands. So thank you, Your Worship and Council, for all the assistance of you and staff members in maintaining the Sports Wall of Fame and the concepts behind it. Now, okay, that's enough process. I didn't think you'd want to do very much more. So at this point, I'll let you know as well, even though we're dealing with certain inductees for 2023, this process I'm talking to you about for 2024 requires nominations to be in by the end of the calendar year. So if any of you had in mind that you were going to be nominating somebody else, then have it done by the end of 2023. The next thing is that I think there might be changes in mind for the website and kiosk displays sometime next year. If they come up, great, but keep your eye on that as well, particularly for those people being inducted tonight, to notice any changes. Now, I think all I will do is congratulate the people who have been nominated and are being inducted tonight for their amazing contribution to sport in Richmond and to Richmond itself. It's a wonderful achievement, and it's something for which you should be proud. But it's something that Richmond should be proud for too. Sports combines so much of importance for a community that is a modern, developing community. The history is developed in a tradition. At the same time, athletes develop commitment, training, purpose, respect for the sport, respect for the opponent, teamwork, and camaraderie, friendships that last for years. Just wait till the kids can sit around university bar rooms and talk about this game and that game and who did what at what time. It happens all the time. It's happened ever since I've come here from far away and stayed. So thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you again for Mayor and Council. Congratulations on behalf of the nominating committee, and all the best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. You can imagine that out of so many worthy inductees, it's always very difficult to select just the right people and teams. We'd like to thank everyone who took the time to make a submission to the nominating committee. Now, before we get to the actual inductions, on a housekeeping note, our professional photographer will capture all of tonight's ceremony. The photographs will be available upon request to each inductee and their families. So for the inductees, I will introduce them and have a picture and after both members of council will join us for a further photo. So the first category for the inductee is the category of coach. An inductee in this category is a coach from a Richmond-based sports organization who is a Richmond resident or who has a strong connection to the city. This individual has been an integral part of the long-term success of a Richmond sport organization through their legacy. So we have one inductee in this category tonight, and I would ask Trish Nicholson to come up and join me. Trish.
Am I supposed to stand here?
Yes, that is the plan. Trish's outstanding accomplishments as a coach include the fact that she was given the Coaching Award of Excellence for the 1994-95 Basketball BC. She was the Woman of the Year in the field of sports for 1995 in the Ethel Tibbetts Awards. In 2003 and 2007, she was inducted into the Wheelchair Basketball Canada Hall of Fame for their gold medals at the World Champions and at the championships in 2002 and 2004. In 2004, she was Richmond's Coach of the Year. Again, in the same year, she was Richmond School Sports Athletic Association Outstanding Coaching Achievement Award for high school coaching. In 2014, she was inducted to the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame as a part of the Team BC Selects. 2016, from Volleyball BC, she was the High School Female Coach of the Year. In 2017, she was given the Mary Campbell Award for a woman who made a lasting and significant impact on basketball in BC. 2018, she was given the Bill Goodman Award by the School Association for coaching in Richmond School District. And finally, in 2022, she was inducted to the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame as an athlete. Please, would you recognize Trish Nicholson?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the second category is team. A lot of people here tonight know about this team. This inductee is a Richmond team that is comprised of a minimum 75% of Richmond residents who have won a championship at a provincial, national, or international level and have left a mark on Richmond sports history. We have one inductee tonight in this category, but there's a whole team and there's a couple coaches and a manager. So why don't you all come up, the Olden Pirates soccer team.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, push me. Just like some of these. We can't be on all of them.
Go on.
I'm not getting down again. My legs are still shaking.
You won't be seeing.
Oh, well,
So just-
okay, there we go.
Okay, so for people other than the team, this is a test. Olden Pirates. You know where that came from? It was Olive and Don May, who are the original sponsors for the club. Have I got that right? Yeah. So they were the Olden Pirates soccer team. They were formed in 1980 and they played together for 10 years until 1990. The core of the team started playing together as under 8s, and the rest of the team joined at under 12 when the team began to play at the metro level. All but one of the players grew up and attended school right here in Richmond. Who was that?
Four in a row.
Back to business. In 1983, the U11 Olden Pirates were the Richmond League champs. In 1984, they were the under-12 Olden Pirates, and they were the joint winners of the under-12 BC Provincial Cup. In 1986, the under-14 Olden Pirates were the BC Coastal Cup champions and the BC Provincial champions. Then they went on to become the only Richmond girls soccer team to become the Canadian national champions. I should introduce a few of the people who are obviously not players on this team. We have the coach, George Tweedley. Here's George. Plus the assistant, Hanif Mamdani. And the manager, Roger Sodvi. And I'm going to ask the captain to come forward, Shelley Werbowski, who was the captain at the time, and will present this award. Over. Make sure you're all in it.
Okay, one more. Okay, two more.
So with that, we're going to ask Trish to come back and join us. Bring your award and your certificate. And members of council, if you could join me as well. I've got to find places for all you guys. Okay, if you guys could.
One more.
Okay, now we're talking. Come on, Cal. Come on, Cal. Assume the position. There we are. That's what I don't even have to. One extreme on each side. I can go on my knees.
So we're just waiting for a minute. This is the team mother. Liz Rogotsky. So let's hear it for her. So how are we going to do this? I'll go over here. How's that?
Yeah, let me see.
Can you see everybody? Go that side.
Just a test shot, everybody. Right here, eyes on me. Right here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me just make sure everybody. Okay, one more, one last one. Big smile. Here we go. Okay, 2, done.
Okay, folks. Just a couple of administrative items that are left. We're going to have a professional photographer at the Richmond Sports Wall of Fame taking photographs tonight. If you want to go over there, Jen will be over there at the wall between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And your plaques will have been mounted on the Wall of Fame, so you can have your picture taken with that plaque. And it's a reminder of what Rick Henderson told us about. We do need the nominations for the 2024 Wall of Fame recipients. And if you could get any nominations that you've got, get it in by the end of December. So thanks for everybody for supporting and celebrating the careers of this year's Richmond Sports Wall of Fame inductees. The common theme for all of them is that all inductees have worked hard and given back to the community for the benefit of sport in Richmond. In this way, we all have made a very significant difference in our community. So to the inductees, I offer my congratulations. You made us very proud, and we thank you for your remarkable achievements and your careers. One final round of applause. Just give it a minute while they go. So we'll just give it a minute. We're wanting to depart, leave the premises.
Dr. Henderson.
Okay, folks, I'm going to call the city council meeting back to order. May I have a motion to resolve in the committee of the whole to hear delegations on items on the agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor, post carried. We have one delegation that has pre-registered, Roger Jawanda for item 12. Is Roger here? Did you wish, come forward, please. So please have a seat and you have introduced yourself and you've got 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Roger Jawanda from City West Consulting. We're the agent on this application. We wish to provide you with some information to consider for this application for the proposed non-farm use for a period of 3 years. The applicant is currently using the property for parking of his commercial vehicles and the storage of some truck chassis. Some of the points I would like to provide. The property has not been actively used for farming in over 20 years. However, during this time, the property and the property to the south were used to store plants and trees to support a nursery. Based on the BC assessment data, currently there is no farm status on this property. The current official community plan land use designation allows for the properties to the south as light industrial and excludes the subject site and the property on either side. The only two properties that remain without a warehouse on the east side of number 6 road are the subject property and the property located just to the south at 5480 number 6 road, which are designated as agricultural. It appears that the industrial land use designation has been built out and the lands are being used for industrial uses. This property is unique for the temporary non-farm use as it is in close proximity to the industrial lands to the west, industrial lands to the south, and up to and including 5920 number 6 road, which includes a warehouse. The truck traffic from this site will have minimum impact on traffic in the area as the trucks will be leaving in the early hours of the morning and coming back, returning in the evening. More importantly, the site is in close proximity to major highways, bridges, and shipping ports located in the city of Richmond, Delta Port, and Vancouver ports. The ports located in the Lower Main are a gateway to the rest of Canada and the world. Therefore, the commercial vehicles are essential to this industry and to move farming goods and other household goods in an efficient way. We need to provide parking for these commercial vehicles, and currently there's a shortage of permitted parking in the region. The owner is using the western portion of the property for the truck parking. The eastern portion is unencumbered. He has not disturbed the eastern portion. We are hopeful that City Council can consider the vital role of the commercial vehicles that are needed in the Lower Mainland and support the non-farm use for a period of 3 years to allow for the truck parking. So if I could maybe, is it possible to have an aerial photo of the site?
I think we have one with our report.
Okay, sure.
Someone have the page number? Sorry? On page 123.
All right, okay, sure, thank you. So after the 3 years, the owner will reinstate the property so that the land can be used for farming or accessory for farming. So this is non-farm use is up for a 3-year period. So in the event that council does not support this application, we're hopeful that council can consider and allow for a grace period for the owner to find some suitable industrial land that will allow for the truck parking. This will also provide the time needed to be able to work his way through the process obtaining the permits required for the truck parking. Thank you for your time. And that's all if there's any questions or.
No? Thank you very much for your presentation. We'll consider it in due course. Are there any other parties here who wish to delegate on items on the agenda tonight? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, the gentleman at the back. All right, please introduce yourself, and you've got 5 minutes.
Mayor and Council, City Councilors, I'm Francis. I previously spoke on the R7 Rapid Bus issue. I apologize for the spur of the moment. It's come to my attention after the GP meeting on last Monday, along one of my journeys along the 430 to Metrotown. There's actually been posters saying along the 49th corridor asking, listing for transitmovement.ca, which has been lobbying for additional express buses from Langara over to Metrotown. So it's obviously on my previous statement on October 16th, I listed 49th. The 49th bus has the third highest ridership in the region. And I just wanted to kind of put this out, the idea of perhaps the fastest solution is to increase the Canada Line frequency to 2 minutes from Richmond to downtown, and then leverage an extra 49 rapid bus concurrently, which would potentially have less technical issues to troubleshoot versus having a direct rapid bus from Richmond to Metrotown. Obviously, Richmond will only be a secondary beneficiary to a Langara to Metrotown Express bus. That being said, that should be considered as a short-term 5 to 10-year solution, and obviously should not override Richmond's long-term ambition of a rapid bus, bus rapid transit, or a SkyTrain potentially from Richmond to Metrotown. And while Council did move the R7 rapid bus to advanced study with the preferred alignment of Cambie in last Monday's GP meeting, I hope the Council would continue to listen to all potential solutions in the latter stage, whether if it's along Cambie or along any other alignment or any other potential buses or any kind of solutions. And I apologize for not being able to give you this photo, because I obviously want to present this new evidence to Council by tomorrow, and I would obviously give it more than happy to give it to Claudia tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. We have a question from Councillor Day.
Yeah, well, thank you for sending us a copy of that poster, because I can see there's a groundswell of interest in increasing that line from Langara out to Metrotown. Could you also send that to TransLink and to the MLAs and MPs, because they need to know what's going on out in the community, and you are the first one to tell us about it.
Okay. Councillor Day, do you recommend me sending it to all Vancouver and Richmond MLAs, or just theirs or ours, or any kind of recommendation on that?
Maybe Mayor Brody could help with this. Maybe it's to all the mayors of all the Metro Vancouver cities.
More than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any?
Mayors, MLAs, even MPs, TransLink for sure.
Okay,
Whatever. Okay, thank you very much.
of course, thank you.
There was a hand back there. You wanted to please come forward then.
Okay, good evening to the Mayor and Council. My name is Prabjit Sandhu, and I am the son of Manjeet Sandhu, who is an owner of a trucking company that has been operating for 20 years now. On February 1st, 2022, the port implemented a rule called the rolling truck gauge. The local trucking companies contacted the federal government and said that this is wrong. The government told us not to worry and that our businesses wouldn't shut down as we help the economy. Then they extended the date to 6 months, and my dad decided that changing the trucks would cost around $3 million, so he was thinking about shutting down the company if the government didn't help. He thought about changing up the business for something else and came to the conclusion of opening up a nursery. He started looking for a property to build a nursery on and found that that property is best suited for a nursery. We bought this property in May 2022, and on June 12th, 2022, the city staff showed up to the property to ask us what we were going to do with this land. We explained to him that we wanted to build a nursery on the property. And now, going back to May 1st, 2022, the landlord of the truck yard that we rented from, that trucking company had increased the rent by double, as he knew that we would be shutting that company down due to the rolling truck age. My dad agreed to this as it was only for 3 months, and there was no other parking available at the time. So now on June 29th, 2022, the landlord told us he needed the property to be vacated by the next day, which was June 30th of 2022. There was no parking available anywhere as it was such short notice, and we needed to park the truck somewhere as the previous owner had tried to vandalize the trucks. We had no choice but to park the trucks temporarily on this property as there was nowhere else to go. We explained to the staff through emails that we were applying for a temporary truck park since the port was going to implement the rolling truck age, and all these notices were sent to ALC and to the city staff by emails. As the port delayed the date, we kept advising the city staff and ALC about these delays being made and not hiding anything. The city staff then advised us that we need to apply for a temporary use permit and go through the process of being approved. This is a short explanation of the problem, and at the last planning/committee meeting, my dad bought all the documents and emails and also the explanations, and he tried to show the committee. He is not a professional speaker as his first language is not English, and he was nervous. He has been stressed thinking about the truck parking. Where will he be parking all these trucks? This application is for a non-farm use for a period of 3 years to allow for the truck parking, and to park 10 trucks and 35 container chassis, which can be stacked 3 high. The property can be reinstated after 3 years, or the property can be turned into a nursery or some accessory for farm use. I really hope that the government can help us solve this problem. Thank you very much for this opportunity to let me speak on this matter. Here are some documents of the emails and eviction notes from the previous landlord, and we would like to give you these if you have time to read them. Please do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Day has a question.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming forward. I know it's a difficult situation. You said that your family purchased the property in May 2022? Yes. Are you aware, according to our staff, that it was farmed up until 2021, just a year prior to that? Are you aware of that?
So like this question can be like answered by Mr. Roger.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation. Is there anybody else here tonight who wishes to speak to us on items on the agenda? Anyone else?
Move revise and report.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. We have a consent agenda. A couple items have been taken off. We have the receipt of committee minutes, the R7 Rapid Bus Update, the Phoenix NetLoft Program, the City Events Program for 2024, the application by the BC Company for an Agricultural Land Reserve Non-Farm Use on number 6 Road. We have an application to 2023-2024 BC Active Transportation Infrastructure Grant Program. We have a couple of awards of contracts for direct digital controlled maintenance services, and secondly for on-call fire system services. And then an update on the 2023-24 snow and ice response preparation. May I have a motion to adopt those by general consent? Second. Moved and second. Okay, Councillor Day.
Yeah, it's a really full agenda tonight. And number 8 is the R7 Rapid Bus Update. We initially turned down what TransLink sent us because they wanted to do designated only bus lanes on Garden City, Lansdowne, and Canby. So what this report is now directing council to work for a Made in Richmond solution, which will include keeping the existing vehicle lanes for cars and trucks and potentially adding rapid buses to the roadways as they are now. Number 9 is the Phoenix NetLoft program. Well, this is a very exciting program. You may wonder, where is the Phoenix NetLoft? We actually had to remove it because it was falling into the river. But we still have $17 million in that fund. And what the plan is to look at creating an arts, cultural, and heritage multi-use space. It's kind of like building a mini community center. And the price tag is not cheap. It's about $59 million. But if you put it in perspective, the Stevenson Community Center is $95 million. And I believe that this will become a very popular destination for many, many people. The next on the list is number 10, the City Events Program. We're hosting quite a few really exciting events here in Richmond for a budget of $810,000. This is significantly less than what we used to spend on community events because we've scaled things down and made our events more Richmond community-based, which I think really reflects the community of Richmond. Item number 11 is 2 lots being made where there was once 1 lot. Well, each one of those 2 lots will actually have a 1-bedroom suite. So we'll have 4 homes where there once was 1. Then next on the agenda is number 12, the agricultural land reserve application for non-farm use. This is a tough one because I realized that the owner bought the property in May 2022 with the hope of parking 36 heavy-duty semis on that property. When I look at the staff report, it's pretty clear that land was farmed for over 20 years and only ceased farming in 2021, just 1 year prior. So I can't abide by another 2.5 acres of farmland being lost. It does have a farmland all to the east, and I think it has a future. Unfortunately, the land has been contaminated with soil that shouldn't be there, but hopefully we can have that remedied. Number 13 is the active transportation infrastructure. Basically what it is, it's a multi-use pathway on number 2 road. This will allow for cyclists and pedestrians to safely be able to move down number 2 road. The big part of this is it will connect the bike lane on number 2 road that goes all the way to the village of Stevenson, and it connects to Williams, and that bike lane goes all the way from 2 road to number 5 road. So this will help connect the dots, and that's exactly what we should do here in the city of Richmond to get people out of their cars, into their bikes, and walking. Thank you.
Yeah, just before I go to the next speaker, note that the item, item 11 is now off the consent agenda. That's the Lassam Road item. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be in support of everything that remains on the consent agenda, and I'll just highlight a couple of the items. So first off, the R7 rapid bus update. What we're asking here for is for staff to provide some further study and lobby for maybe down the road this would be named something else. It's basically a revolving branding, what we used to call the B-line bus. It's basically the modern day name for it with a green color trim on it. We may not have been in this first round, but it's not to say that we would have been selected anyway if we would have endorsed this when it first came to us. The big issue we have here in Richmond is we're still haven't caught up to the pre-pandemic levels of our bus service. That includes Canada Line service levels. We heard comment from a delegate today about needing to increase that. I know this is about rapid bus, but there's so many things that are out of order here that are wrong with the way we're funding public transit. And although there's 3 that have been announced, there's likely maybe 3-4 years till the first one actually gets built, the first bus rapid transit, BRT. And one of the 3 potentially is on hold likely until 2030 to 2031. So not a lot of movement happening quick, but it is worthy for our staff to continue to investigate this so that when opportunities arise to get TransLink funding, however that may be, we can get it to increase ridership, reduce overcapacity, and provide better services to bus users. And staff did assure us that there will be some public consultation component to this. So what the actual users and different people living in the 3 potential corridors would have to say about this potential. And also some choke points that need to be dealt with in the future, such as Knight Street Bridge. Moving on, Phoenix Net Loft, there's great potential with that structure for what can be done inside of it, but also I think there's a lot of value to the outside. Seeing a heritage building built on the water takes people back and allows imagination and creativity and the arts to really thrive in our community. I think there's potential for this to provide even more than what's in the package of what the arts, culture, and heritage multi-use space might provide. I'm going to be advocating for a pump-out station where boats can empty septic tanks, because there's still nothing in Steveston that does that. I'm also hoping that this type of facility can connect to the water to be a little bit of an estuarium feature, perhaps, where we can bring life from the river, the South Arm, in for people to observe and see things, and then to be able to return it live back into the water. So there's lots of great potential here, and it is going to be built with a 1.9 meter rise for flood protection. And I've also talked to staff where the potential for this building, if need be, could potentially be raised again. City events program, all great events to support. I'll just highlight the last one on the list there is supporting food security through community-driven events. And one of our smallest neighborhoods in Richmond, Hamilton, which does not have a grocery store, was able to have a pop-up market every Saturday where local food was available for residents to walk over and purchase. And also there was a great program there for people on fixed income to be able to get free source of fresh fruit. Moving on to the application for non-farm use agricultural land. I remember going to this property many times when it was under the Arts Green Acre tree farm area to pick up fruit trees and plant them around. And so I really value the potential of this land to be an actual farm where things are growing out of the ground and setting roots in the soil. But we've also, our council's also supported farm projects where they raise the land up, potentially after some contamination issue, to raise it up to make it a tree farm where plants are actually in pots, kind of a staging ground for getting them growing and getting them into the ground eventually. So I see I definitely support the denial of this this use for this location. I don't think I need to say much about the rest, except for the last item, number 16, the snow and ice response preparations. So at Committee Public Works, we did discuss this, and just for the public, there's a couple, or 3 things I'll tell you, or 4 things. One, if you want to take a look at the priority roadway map, it's on page 149. It's really hard to read, and you can actually go on the city's webpage and search, or even Google search richmond.ca, and then put in 2023 Operation Snow Removal Route, and you can get the PDF of this file, and you can zoom in and see the actual name of the roads and what level of priority they are for cleaning snow and ice. So take a look at that map to see what will be on in your neighborhood for snow removal when it falls. Page 146 has the road sensor map, so it helps us not treat all of Richmond the same way, whereas some areas, due to the proximity east-west, close to the river or not, can have a different temperature, and we can respond accordingly. And also a growing list of snow removal equipment on page 145, which is growing and is quite high tech to be able to do what we do. And also, just last thing to point out here, we do have the requirement to clear snow from sidewalks, and it is highlighted in this report that staff are looking into that, and we'll come back to a committee and council in January in regards to that requirement. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Councillor Gillanders.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too will be supporting everything on the consent agenda, and I just want to speak to a couple of the items. The Phoenix Net Loft program, just really exciting to see the vision for this and to see this coming forward. I can't tell you how many people ask me, how can we revitalize Steveston? How can we get people out? And it's so sleepy now, and it shuts down at 8 p.m. And this building is going to connect, Steveston Village to the other historical Britannia area. It's in between, and it's different than any of the other buildings we have down there because it's going to be fully utilized in year-round, and it's going to have a purpose-built performance space and a restaurant, and it can be used, it'll be heated and everything else. So it's unlike anything else that we have there, and the fact that we have so many people with a vested interest in having this come forward, with all the artifacts that have been stored for forever, that we get to have shown in this museum. So it's really exciting. I'm also going to speak to the application for the non-farm use for on the ALR property. I'm very sympathetic to the issue of lack of industrial land. All sorts of industries, not only trucking, are needing open storage industrial land, which goes for about $5 million an acre if you're lucky to find it. This property is a farm. It was a farm, and it was sold for $1.5 million per acre approximately in 2022. So, 3 or 4 times cheaper than industrial land. It's very important to send a message that it's not okay to purchase agricultural land and start using it for industrial and ask for forgiveness afterwards. I think a much more impactful message to send to the government if they haven't been facilitating enough resources for truckers to park their trucks. It would have been to park the trucks in front of an MLA office or on some city roads, and as some sort of a protest, we have nowhere to put our trucks, rather than putting it on the farm. And some other things just don't line up. If it was supposed to be temporary, then why would they bring in asphalt right away? And why is the consultant saying that it would be ideally suited for industry since it's surrounded by industry? That shows that it's a play to get it out of the agricultural land reserve. It also highlights the problem that we have when we have industrial land right next to agricultural land. It makes it, look at this nice little street. There's 2 more farm properties left and the other ones are industrial. So eventually those are all going to go industrial is what people think. And they speculate on it and purchase it hoping to get it out of the ALR. Not saying that's what happened for sure here or anything like that, but that's what does happen. And we got many complaints from farmers and people in the neighborhood just absolutely upset that people are reusing this property not as it's intended. And it's not fair to people who purchase industrial land and spend the $5 million an acre that's needed for their industry, because other people are doing it the right way and spending the money that it costs for industrial land and not taking advantage of the cheaper agricultural land. So I'm really happy that we're supporting not forwarding this application to the ALR, and that we've done a referral to staff to look at where there can be more truck parking in Richmond. So that will hopefully help people that are looking for that type of property. And that's all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I'm not going to repeat everything that's there, but just make a few comments. On the rapid bus, I want to make it very clear that, we've always wanted the rapid bus system on it, and we wanted to work with TransLink, and I think on occasion, sometimes with the media, we get a bad rap. We want to continue developing any high level of alignment we can get with anywhere, including UBC, Simon Fraser, what have you. We'd already have a robust transportation system, but the rapid buses, we weren't prepared to give up that. But there are some opportunities to look at other routes, and I thank the staff for the report when they talk about Cambie being maybe one of the preferred areas in the high traffic areas. We don't know where it'll go yet, but I think it's something that we need to look at. But most importantly, I think we've got to talk to the user. Those that are riding it now, and any of the buses from there, and we also need to do a survey and get the public opinion of why they're not using it, and to increase ridership. And I think, Your Worship, TransLink could survey more people more often to say, why wouldn't you use this if it's going from A to B now, and we put buses on more frequently, as opposed to sitting back waiting for it to happen. I'm not criticizing it, but I think TransLink could use an aggressive approach to get ridership. Because many people don't know where the bus is. They don't know that they come every 6 minutes, or every 3 minutes, or every 10 minutes. And I think we have to educate people about it from that point of view, to utilize it, because it may fit in with what you want. Anyhow, enough on that, and I'm happy to support that. With the Phoenix Net Love program, a great program, we're endorsing it in principle. We've got $17 million towards it now. I think one of the things that happened, because we have some things coming tomorrow as well, we've got to look at that precinct, the Britannia shipyards in that area. It's starting to get crowded with what's probably proposed there. This fits in there nicely, and what else we can put down there. But I will be supporting it and helping it go along. The arts continually need a boost. You know, they are the heart and soul of our community. And without the arts, you don't have a community. And this is something that I think we all appreciate it in whatever form of arts that you want. Just make a comment on the city events, Your Worship. I'm glad to see the money for the Salmon Festival is all in one pot. One criticism, it's a friendly one though, doors open. Not enough money to it. I said that before, and I said that to the manager. I'd like to see more money for Doors Open. I'd like to see Doors Open expand. It is a signature event in this community. It's the backbone of the community, and it showcases the community. Most people don't know where the Gulf of Georgia Cannery is in Richmond. So it's our responsibility to help them get there, okay? So how do we do it? We have to put them. I'd like to see more faith groups with the Highway to Heaven there as part of it, and also the artists. Comments from the artists in the last number of years, we were never asked. Remember a number of years ago, before COVID, the artists opened up their doors. There were 17 artists, at least that's the number I went to see their art. They opened up, had a little studio, a little display, and I'm just talking about the painters. So I'd like to see the Doors Open be much bigger and better on it. So it's a friendly one, and to me, it's not a matter of money, Your Worship, on that. So, got that? Good. On the non-farm use, you know, we do have a problem with trucking. We have a problem with trucking in the province of British Columbia. We have a problem with trucking in Canada. They're not all going to park in Ottawa in front of the Parliament buildings. It's something, the trucking industry is a major, major industry. And we've got to look for areas for parking, but they've got to be done properly and licensed properly and what have you. And I did move a motion the other day at Planning Committee to ask staff to look at what areas, private and public, that could be used for parking of trucks within the community and how we can deal with it. We're not getting any help from all the other levels of government that proponent to say, yeah, we're behind you 100%, but go ask somebody else for it. We're doing something about it. It's going to take us a bit of time, Your Worship, but we'll get there. The other comment I want to make too is with regard to the maintenance service for safety. We've got 168 buildings, public buildings. We've got somebody looking after it. Awarding that contract makes the community safer. You know, Richmond is a community safe and much safer than most communities, contrary to some popular opinion. But we're every day trying to do things along this line, in this case, giving the contract out so that we have our buildings safe, and that's extremely important. And then the last quickly thing now is we're brining the roads now for the inclement weather. Our roads are good, and the roads have always been good in Richmond, and our snow clearing has been very good. All we need now is the public to do their share when it comes to cleaning sidewalks in front of your house, your neighbor on either side. Please give some consideration if you can do it if we do get a snowfall. The men and women of Richmond at the workyard are doing their job in the streets. Let's do our job in the sidewalk. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, Counselor Al.
Your Worship, I want to make a few comments on a few items. The first one is number 8, rapid bus update. Of course, I think as a council, we support public transportation. We want to take people out of their cars and use public transportation, the more the better. We know that the success of the public transportation relies on the reliability and the efficiency of the system. So when we have this proposal from staff talking about rapid bus, I think conceptually we all support that. But last time we rejected the proposal for the reason that there's so many things that we're still not sure. And with staff coming back to us with more information, and also as for myself, I always want to make sure that this rapid bus proposal will not replace or take away some of the priorities that we have in the city. And I can say that, we have been guaranteed by staff that this is not going to be the case, and to be on the table actually helps us to make sure that we can both have the rapid bus, at the same time we can safeguard the needs of the community as being met. So I'm happy to see that moving forward, and we will be on the table. And item number 9, Phoenix North program. I'm really excited about this proposal. I remember that, when we passed the motion that we would spend $19 million on the building, we hope that we can preserve the building and develop some programs. But at the end, we found out that the building was in such a poor condition that we could not preserve it. So we demolished the building. It was a big disappointment. But looking back, I think perhaps, that opens up another opportunity for us. Because if we keep the old building, we may not be, we can build it up to a certain standard, but perhaps, we cannot do as much as we can in the future. And now that we do not have the building, and we can build the new building in the form of the heritage site. But more importantly, we are not just thinking of building, we are talking about the opportunities that we can have for the programs inside. I don't want us just to have a passive space that can be rented out for events occasionally. I want this to be a place that we can have programs that attract people, that can be used all the time, and it can also tell the Richmond story. So I'm looking forward to proposals from staff on programming, and which can really make this building and the programs stand out in the community. I remember, as I mentioned in the committee meeting, I remember that in 1986, the Vancouver Expo, my wife and I came to Canada for the first time. And we remember that in Expo, there was a Canada Pavilion, and there was a digital image of a First Nation elder telling the Richmond story. I mean, not the regular Canadian stories, with the image of boats and fish and river. I think perhaps we can do something like that in the future in this space, that we can be creative, innovative, and combine modern technology with the heritage building as a form that we can carry on to tell the Richmond story from the past into the future. And item number 10, city events program. I'm really thankful to staff for coming up with this budget and these proposals. I think this is very important for our community building efforts. Some of the events, like the Salmon Festival, the Richmond Maritime Festival, are so popular that it attracts tens of thousands of people into Richmond, and they're so well received. But I think more importantly are the other programs, such as a Community Celebration Grants Program, the Neighborhood Block Party Fund. I think those are the programs that we provide to the community to encourage people to come together and to build up neighborhoods and communities. I think as an immigrant society, Richmond needs to have that kind of programs to make people have the opportunities to come together, to learn from each other, to share experience together, and even to have fun together, so that we can have a stronger sense of community among us. So I'm thankful for these proposals, and I think the money, the $10,000 would be well spent. So with that, I will support everything on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. I too will be approving everything on the consent agenda. And just a couple comments on the R7 rapid bus update. I'm disappointed that we didn't support the original BRT. And actually, the way staff had presented the original rapid bus R7 was, we were asking for something more nuanced than a BRT, because we weren't ready to give up the lanes of traffic, and I know that area of town along Cambie, it's tight, and so we're not ready. What staff had originally been suggesting we put forward was a nuanced version of a rapid bus opportunity. This is hopefully going to get us back to the table with TransLink so that we still get something, and because we have been identified as a major corridor. The one thing that a BRT would have done is it would have come in a few years down the road, and it would have been one of those proof of concept things that you eventually then decide that's where you're going to put your money in to have a more fixed line, whether it's a tram or a SkyTrain or something else. You would have had the opportunity to really have a proof of concept with that. The way we are now is hopefully we'll get back to the table with TransLink. We'll be able to get something, we'll get better transit, and because we still need to get people to and from Metrotown from city center. And I just want to make one comment on the multi-use path. So number 13, we put this on the capital budget back in for 2021. So that's the stretch along number 2 road from Steveston Highway up to Williams Road. So we've put that on the capital budget. Staff have worked through the plans. They managed to get other funding. Our staff are pretty brilliant actually at getting funding from other sources. And so we're almost down to only paying about 25% for this project. And it looks like it might even be done in time for my kid to get to Steveston, London, to get to school. And so the more kids we can get not getting into cars in the first place, being able to get to their high schools safer. I know that's one of those weird schools that the catchment areas that feed into it don't all have good access and for pedestrians and cyclists. And I think this will improve it. It'll make it better for the kids getting to school. It'll keep them healthier, and it'll get more cars off the road because parents won't be driving them to and from school. So I think it's a win-win, and I'm glad to see it's happening. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll call the question on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is carried. So there are 2 items that have been removed from the consent agenda. The first one is number 7, the red light cameras. Will go to the Chair of Community Safety, Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. We have a letter regarding red light cameras, that a letter be sent to the province to upgrade the provincially owned red light cameras in the city to speed read cameras, and that staff explore other areas where there should be more cameras and ability for the province to install those cameras.
Second.
Did you wish to address it further?
Yep, we have a number of red light cameras in the city that are operated by the province. There's one camera in the city that is both a red light and a speed camera, and for safety purposes, we'd like them all to be upgraded to speed cameras. So if people are speeding through a camera, they'll get a ticket. They get that courtesy of the province. And so it's not a money grab on our position. It's enforcing safety and ensuring safety here in Richmond, street, pedestrian, car, cyclist safety.
Councillor Glanders?
Thank you. Yeah, I have concerns about this. I'm not comfortable sending the province a letter to say, we know that this is going to make things more safe and we're giving you license to take money from the taxpayers of Richmond. I need to know more about it. I would be more comfortable with it being a referral to staff to come back and give us information on how many accidents in Richmond at these intersections are related to speed, because I've seen a lot of accidents at intersections that have nothing to do with speed. I just saw one the other day where the light had just turned yellow and it was raining, and maybe the car is afraid that there's a red light camera there, so they slam on their brakes when they should have just gone through because it was unsafe to slam on their brakes, and they got rear-ended. I've seen cars going to turn left and they turn their wheels and they're in the opposite lane And so then when the car ends up turning left in front of them, they end up getting hit because they were in the middle of the road. Or people letting left turners go in front of them, so the person in the right hand lane ends up hitting them. I think that we need to improve safety in the driving in Richmond. We could do a lot more to encourage ICBC to reduce insurance rates if you take a safe driver's course, things like that. I think we need a lot more education on driving. But I don't know that this is necessary. And the other problematic things about this is that the whole principle of radar, this is essentially photo radar. And the problem with it is that radar is unreliable. Radar doesn't stand up in court. And when a police officer is doing speed enforcement, they have to judge the situation. They determine if a person is speeding, and if it's they use the radar as backup to reinforce their judgment. You can't rely on just the radar. Whereas a red light camera is a lot more definitive. There's a photo of the car in the intersection. When that photo is taken with the timestamp on it, it's not disputable. But I read on the government website about these the speed cameras is that anybody driving through the intersection, whether it's green light, yellow light, or red light, will get a photo taken of them if they're going over the speed limit. So you could have excellent drivers that are driving 55, that have never been in an accident in their life, and they could be getting a speeding ticket. What threshold is it set at? I don't know. Is it set at 70? Is it set at 50? I would like more information. So, I would propose that we could do a referral to just get more information. Where is the evidence that speed cameras change behavior? I heard an expert talk on the radio the other day saying that it doesn't change behavior when you get a ticket in the mail a few weeks later after the alleged speeding through the intersection, because it's already passed, it's not in the moment, and it's not tied to your driving record. You don't get points for it. So really, we're just giving a license for the province to take more money from people when it's not even, I don't even know that they were driving unsafely. I'm really uncomfortable with it. So if we could change it to a referral, I would vote for that. But other than that, I can't support this.
Okay, I'll come back to you as to whether you want a referral motion in due course. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too will be opposed to the letter writing campaign here to the province, and I'll hear the referral later on, and I'd likely be supporting that. I think our staff are already doing things that are within our control that are making our roads safer. For example, we're removing those little pork chop medians or slip lanes that are the right-hand turn lanes where you don't have to stop and take a 90-degree turn. You can just swing over to the right. And so we're getting rid of all those in the city. And I think many of those are at those higher crash intersections, such as Shell and Alderbridge, where Highway 91 ends, and on all corners of the Garden City lands, or not all, 3 of the corners have them. And because they all have different lengths merged, so the speed that people go into them is a problem. And I'll definitely echo Councillor Galander's seeing what I think is not a good change in driving habit, because you get people who are either too punchy on the gas or too punchy on the brake when you get to one of these situations where, is it going to go yellow? If it is, do I have time? And you got to make that judgment. And we can all probably sing in the shower or sing when no one's listening to us. But when you're doing it and there's a camera on you or there's people around, people get nervous. It's in our nature. And so I think what I've heard and experienced with red light cameras and going to speed read cameras is even more of a concern, because to me that's also tipping this into a privacy issue, where mainly what I support the cameras at intersections is if there's an incident, then the RCMP can look at it, who hit who, what angle were they coming in at. Whereas now we got people who are going to be able to look at all this footage of all the intersections of all the vehicles going through, no matter red, green, or yellow, and we're, again, giving free rein to the province here to upgrade. I know in Vancouver, they've recently passed a motion to add red light cameras, and I think with the Vancouver charter, they are able to determine where that money goes and put it into like a victim fund or whatever. Whereas in this case, I think would just end up going to a BC general revenue for whatever the province wants to spend it on. And the last comment I want to make here is some of the studies I read coming prepared for this tonight is that there's many claims that when intersections get their red light camera or speed read cameras, attributing the lessening of crashes or the lessening of fatalities is not necessarily tied to that piece of technology that's being added, but it's more the terminology is called regression to the mean, where it's other factors, there's other things that are feeding in that lower data. And we don't have the data in front of us today. So to, again, tell the province to do this, no way.
Okay, Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair, I'll be supporting it. You know, looking back in time, you know, I have been the vice chair of the BC Traffic Safety Committee, and I can tell you without a doubt in my mind whatsoever, and I've seen data support it, although it's dated data now, that these cameras actually absolutely reduce crashes, reduce injuries, and sometimes reduce fatalities. So I'll be supporting it. When the letter won't result in all our intersections being upgraded like that, because it'll be done on a priority basis. And if we're lucky, we might get one or two of our highest crash locations upgraded to that. That's for the red light. In terms of the speed on green, if you want to call it that, that absolutely slows people down. And there are other jurisdictions where you can look it up, and Australia is one, where they have lots of data on it. So it's a proven concept. There's no question about that. I just say in terms of privacy issues, that's a completely different issue because we won't likely have the clarity in terms of resolution to identify people anyway, and that's not what they're used for. And if you want to think about the idea of somebody in an office sitting and watching hours and hours of videotape captured on camera, you're talking about millions of hours of time, and that just doesn't happen. To do that, you'd get a judicial authorization, and that would be in relation to a serious event that happened. So I'll be supporting it, and that's it. Thanks.
Councillor Day.
Thank you, Mayor Brody. I have a question to staff on procedure. Well, I understand that normally, you know, speeding ticket is issued by a police officer and they use judgment, and the data that they have is to back up what they've already witnessed. How is the data used? Like, is it over a certain speed limit that a ticket is issued, or is it a quantity thing, or is it only when there's peak accident hours at that intersection? Like, how is this data used?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, there have been open source reports stating that the excessive speed ticket could be issued for 30 kilometers. We would have to consult with the province to see what is the excessive speed trigger for that camera. I'm familiar with, in years past, there was a dedicated unit of police officers that would review that footage to make a determination if a ticket should be issued.
All right, so you don't have clerks sitting watching these videos. This is actual police officers that would be, or maybe clerks going through it initially and then police officers deciding whether or not to issue a ticket, or?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, these would be not necessarily police officers, but peace officers with that special status.
Okay, and how feasible is this?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, staff would have to review that and provide an answer in the form of a memo or report.
Well, that tells me we need a referral. I mean, let's get more information. I don't want to ask for something that we don't know for sure is, you know, going to work in the province. So I say we refer it back. I'll defer to Councillor Galanders.
On that note about is it feasible? I mean, at one time, there were lots and lots of these types of cameras, so they must be feasible.
To your worship, my understanding is that there were red light cameras and there were also cameras that were perhaps at a different elevation that were utilized, and that was some years ago. It certainly was a practice in the past.
All right. Councillor Howe.
Your worship, well, I'm not a member of the Public Safety Committee, but I attend the meetings. And I remember that, very, very often when you talk about safety, especially involving transportation, I think enforcement is always the theme. We talk about we have the regulations, but we have to enforce those regulations in order to protect the safety of the public. And I understand that the issue of the cameras is very controversial. We have evidence or statements from both sides saying about it is whether or not it's reliable. So in principle, I would support that you have to upgrade our enforcement, and the cameras would be a tool for us or for the provincial government to take actions. However, I also feel that, perhaps it would do no harm if we refer this back to staff and to get more information. Because I think if we write the letter to the provincial government asking them for doing this, it's possible that they will come back to us and say, oh, sustain your claim or your suggestion with data. So I think I'd like to see those data firsthand before we really try to convince the provincial government to upgrade those cameras. So for that reason, and I think it won't do too much harm if we wait for 2-3 months to have this information before us. So in principle, I support the upgrading of the cameras, but I also support a referral motion that we can have more information before we do that.
We've got Councillor Heed, who is online, who wants to make a comment.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And you can understand that people get quite passionate when they have to deal with photo cameras. And it's no surprise to anyone in council that I am an ardent supporter of use of this type of technology to ensure that we have safer streets. I know this technology fairly well, or I did know it fairly well, because I was the one that implemented the red light cameras when I was sitting over in Victoria. And we did go through some initial research, and we did strategically locate these cameras in high crash intersections, and we started to see a significant drop in those. And part of it, as Councillor Glanders alluded to, is the education. So what we did, part of the whole strategy, was to make sure when we put these cameras in that we advise the public exactly where these cameras are situated. The intent was to slow them down or ensure that they don't run the lights at these specific intersections. So I can understand that some people don't want it, but if we utilize the education part of it at the same time as installing these cameras, I think it's quite valuable from my opinion. And as far as the data goes, the data we use is provincial data that comes from ICBC. With respect to this, we don't use, we didn't use any local government data to determine where this is going to be, and I think this is probably still the same case here. So I am in support of it. I talked about my support in committee, and I talked about the fact that writing the letter doesn't necessarily mean they're going to install these particular cameras. I think it's worthwhile. I've witnessed some of the activity at intersections with the speed in particular. We have one at Garden City in Cambie, and that's the only red light camera where we have the speed apparatus installed in that. Mr. Crado is correct. It's technicians that actually look after this. What the police do is they set the standard up for that particular intersection, whether it's going to be 20 or 21K over or 16K over what the speed limit should be before it activates the camera. So there's a lot of work that goes in. It's just not simply putting up these cameras in an intersection and sitting back and raking in the money. So there is an intent. The intent is to create safer intersections in Richmond. And I like the motion going forward, asking the provincial government to consider additional speed enforcement at the intersections where we have some of these cameras. And yes, it should be based on the data, like Councillor Galander says, the data with respect to significant accidents that occur there that lead to injuries or death. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Councillor Heed, there's going to be a couple votes here, so make sure you're sticking around for that. Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, I'll be very quick on this. I agree with both sides of the motion, the referral and the other. There are two issues here, as I see, Your Worship. One is writing to the provincial government, etc., and the other, where should more cameras be? Well, isn't that a decision that we would work with our IOC and our police department to know where they are? We know our data here in Richmond better than Victoria will do. So I think we really need to, in my opinion, I suggest we pass the motion on the floor here, and we have a referral motion asking for the second part, that there should be more cameras. Well, where are they? Where's the metrics for that?
It's a two-part.
Yes, it's two-part, but one part is home and the other is Victoria.
We know that.
I know, but what I'm trying to do is say that let's get the home and refer that to staff to come up with a home. Victoria's not going to tell you where it is, and they're not going to put in money. Before some of you came on council, we spent $2 million buying cameras.
We're not asking.
Can I talk? Yeah. Would you like to, here, come and take my mic.
No.
God, you're rude.
We've got a speaking order. Councillor McNulty.
Sorry, Your Worship, in public for her outbreak. But we have two items on the floor, both diametrically opposed, in my opinion. One is the cameras of what Victoria would do and the information that we would do. So I'd like to see us pass this one and make a referral to staff to come up with a plan of where we should put other cameras and get our metrics from the city. Thank you.
I think the point that was being made was that this is a two-part motion, and the second part to which you refer is that staff explore other areas where there should be more cameras and the ability for the province to install them. So I think we can separate the first part from the second part, but before we even do that, we'll go back to Councillor Galanders and ask what it is do you want to refer the whole thing back? Is that the notion?
Yes, I would like to, but I don't think that's going to pass. But I would make a motion that staff report back on the effectiveness of red light cameras in Richmond and the effectiveness of speed cameras in principle, and that could report back on determining how many accidents in Richmond are caused by speed in intersections. Is there evidence in other municipalities that speed cameras change behavior? What speed threshold is it set to? How much resources is it going to take?
Hold it a sec. That's all your referral motion?
Yeah.
For more information, and you've given those examples of what you're looking for?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that pertains to the entire motion, not just one half of it.
Yeah.
The first or second
Yes, because
part.
they can address the exploring the other areas as well, yeah.
Just wanting to be clear.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is to refer this back to talk about the effectiveness of cameras and what ensues from that. So we are on the referral motion, and the debate will be only, the comments will be only on the merits of referral. We will go to Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. I support the referral motion because I think that staff know a lot more about this than we do. So to write a letter to the province to upgrade the provincial cameras, that's kind of over our pay grade. I mean, we don't know that much about them. And I think that, I think some of the great points that were pointed out by other councillors is that, if it's over 18 kilometers past the speed limit in areas that are high accident, then maybe they make sense. But we don't know any of that. I mean, we're sitting here trying to make a decision to write a letter that might make us look really uninformed when that letter arrives in Victoria. So I think we should send this back to staff. Let's get the information that we need, and then let's make a motion that actually we have data and professional advice to back it up.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, and through the chair. On the referral, it's got lots of good information in it, and so I'm not saying that it doesn't contain lots of good ideas, but I won't be supporting it because I think that the original motion in front of us can accomplish that with the two parts that it has. And just as a point of interest for people, the percentile that the cameras are set at is set based on data, and it would be substantially above whatever the posted speed limit is in whatever area. And that's just the way it works. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to call the question on the referral. All those in favor of the referral? And those opposed? We got 4 and 4. Councillor Heed, I take it you tell me what you're in favor of it? Are you opposed or in favor of the referral?
Opposed.
All right. So the motion is defeated with Councillors McNulty, Liu, Hobbs, the Mayor, Councillor Heed opposed. So I'm going to call the question then on the main motion. All those in favor? Those opposed? Councillor Heed, I take it that you are in favor?
Correct.
All right, so that is carried with Councillors Galanders and Wolf opposed. Okay. Now, the other one that was taken off the consent agenda is number 11. We'll go to Councillor McNulty, Chair of Planning, to introduce it.
Thank you, Worship. Number 11 is an application by Gudru Puni for rezoning at 10511 Lassam Road from a single detached RS1E zone to the single detached RS2B zone. And I'd introduce it and give it first reading and make a comment or two.
So is it seconded?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. This is a single subdivision, 2 single-family lots with access to Lassam Road. The follows all the descriptions that we have in our bylaws. Each lot is going to be about 6,000 square feet. So it makes ample room to subdivide. A very detailed tree retention and replacement program on it, and the arborists have taken into consideration and charged appropriate compensation, if you wish, to the city on it. And there are secondary suites, although they are basically 1 bedroom. They're 500 square feet, which are actually quite a little bit larger than what we've seen recently, where we've had subdivision, Your Worship. So I think the application warrants moving ahead.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Just a question to staff first, and then I'll have a few more comments. There's no report on the hedge. There's 2 hedges, one on the north and one on the west. So you just comment on the retention. It's not significant, but sometimes there's mention to it. Okay.
Just one moment here. One second here.
Are you able to comment?
Sorry, through your worship, just trying to locate information on a hedge.
I can provide some other comments and while I jump in anytime. So if you look on the overhead map 105, you can see the location of this right adjacent to James McKinney Elementary School. The property directly to the south of it looks very similar to what's being proposed here and is allowed. So you take one house and you put it into two large houses. And by doing it to this property, you're going to have the one that's on the north of the half right up against the school property line. I'm not like they're allowed to do it, but I think there's better work we can do after we get to the OCP process perhaps, where we can condense developments like this so it's not a symmetrical line down the middle and you get a mirror copy of these giant structures on either side of the middle line. We could put it a little bit away, give a clearance to this school. There is a small hedge that is on the two sides that are adjacent to the school district land. They're not that tall, but they're still hedges, and they give barrier and protection and a bit of privacy, as opposed to where I've seen large structure houses like this built right up against schools, and it's kind of daunting when you're in the school field and it's like within an arm's length of the fence, and it takes away what school sites used to be like, and maybe could or go back to, which is to give them a little bit more of a like school site feel as opposed to the urban feel. We're removing all the trees on the north side of this property, and we're only going to they are only planning to retain two on the back portion of the property. You can see that on the map on page 111. And my typical comments. They're saving 2, they're removing 7, they should be planting 14, they're only fitting 6, and so we're getting 8 trees with cash in lieu that'll go somewhere else. Well, maybe it should go right to the school district and be planted on the school district side so we can block the view of this structure and whatever is looking out the windows. So those are my comments. Anything about the hedges?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, apologies, it's not referred to on the plan itself. The hedge, I believe, is on the adjacent property, so there's no plan to remove the hedge. We would definitely note if that were the case. In terms of the trees on site, there were the trees that are proposed for removal are in poor condition, cited in the report as reviewed by the project arborist and concurred to by the city's tree preservation team.
Yep, I disagree with that, but that's okay. Thank you.
I just want to make a quick comment here that, we had the report last week on the province's ambitions in terms of housing in all the cities in the province. And, the province wants more units near the schools. They want more units. They don't want as many setbacks. And there's going to be changes in the amenities, so I doubt we're going to get any compensation where a tree is knocked down and you don't like it. I think that this exemplifies the future. I mean, if you don't like this, you're going to be dying to have it with what's coming, is my comment. So with that, Councillor Galanders, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just going to speak to that as well. Looking at, we are absolutely going to be losing more trees when these rules come in from the province. And Councillor Wolf brings up a really good point every time he talks about the trees, and that what happens is when we fill the entire property, that the replacement trees that are planted do not establish roots in the native soil, and they do not turn into decent sized trees. And I'm just wondering if there's something that we can do, and I could maybe bring it to planning, just a motion on examining how we fill properties that are going to be developed. So if there's an area that was treed where the replacement trees are going to go, so like let's say the backyards, even if they're going to be very small, these properties, that we keep the native soil and just have the fill underneath the building area of the house. If we can maybe alter the way we're doing that and keep and have our replacement trees planted in the native soil, then maybe we can get better trees and preserve some of the biodiversity, and that would kind of help ease this issue.
Right, I think that should go to planning committee,
Yeah,
please.
okay, thanks.
All right, so on this motion, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? It is carried with Councillor Wolf opposed. That completes the number of matters we are looking at. We have some public announcements. First of all, coming from our closed meetings, we have on the advisory committees, these are all two-year appointments until December 31st of 2025. For the RCSAC, Gung Ma has been appointed. For the Richmond Intercultural Advisory Committee, Young Zhao Chang, Vladimir Choi, Michaela Nuval, Ashok Ratan, Daniel Remedios, Randy Sandhu, Athena Estramadura, Dina McInnes, and Sissy Sue. They have all been appointed, as have to the Advisory Design Panel, Alan C., Pamela Andrews, Judy Liu, Vikas Tanwar, and Jerome Teo. Then for general comments and announcements, we have the Recreation and Sports Job and Volunteer Fair that will be held on Wednesday, November 29th from 3:30 to 5:30 at the City Center Community Center. This is for residents seeking employment in fitness, childcare, youth, seniors, and seasonal programs of the city's recreational facilities. So go to the city's website to get more information. Then we have Winter Wonderland at City Hall. The City Hall is again turning into a Winter Wonderland with the annual Rotary Club of Richmond Sunset Indoor and Outdoor Trees. From December 2nd right to December 31st, people can explore the lights, take photos, and enjoy the festive atmosphere. Donation of funds and perishable food items are welcome. There's special music performances on the Saturdays, December 2nd, 9th, and 16th. So go to richmondsunsetrotary.org for more information. Then there's going to be a number of seasonal events. I've got a note of a few of them here. As the holiday season draws near, several free family-focused events are taking place to share the festive spirit. Among them, at the Hamilton Fire Hall, that's number 5, lights up on Tuesday, December 5th from 3:30 to 5 with an afternoon of activities, entertainment, and refreshments. That's always popular with the whole family. Then we have the annual Winter in Steveston Village Festival on Sunday, December 3rd from noon till 4 o'clock. The village will welcome Santa by boat, along with horse-drawn carriage rides, a classic Christmas car cruise, dog parade, and more. So if you want more information on those, go to the city website. And then we have Hanukkah and the menorah lighting. Finally, Hanukkah begins at sundown on December 7th and ends at sundown on the 15th. This 8-day festival of lights will feature the annual lighting of the menorah at Minru Plaza on Sunday, December 10th at 3 o'clock p.m. This is the 35th anniversary of the lighting of the giant menorah, and the public is invited to join council, special guests, and dignitaries for this occasion. So, Madam Clerk, bylaws for adoption, we'll have to split them out because some are contested and some aren't.
Move the 10 with no opposition.
Now, just a minute, the 10, is that council page 8 and 9?
8, 10, 11.
I'm sorry, 8.
There are 10 bylaws with no
Okay.
opposition. I move those 10.
Okay, so that's on all the pages. Okay, so that's moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, carried.
I move bylaw 10154 on page 10.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, those opposed, it's carried with Councillor Wolf opposed.
Move bylaw 10155.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, those opposed, it's carried with Councillor Wolf opposed.
Move bylaw 10156.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried with Counselor Wolf opposed.
Bylaw 10383.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried with Councilors Galander, Day, Wolf, and Howe opposed. And that's all for that. The Development Permit Panel. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are two recommendations. The first is that the minutes of the Development Permit Panel meeting held on November 16th, 2023, and the Chair's reports for the Development Permit Panel meetings held on July 26th, 2023, April 13th, 2022, and August 9th, 2023 be received for information. And recommendation two, that the recommendations of the panel to authorize the issuance of the development permit for the property located at 10651 Swinton Crescent, a development variance permit for the property at 7600 Ash Street, and a development permit for the property located at 10140, 10160, 10180 number 1, and 4051 Cavendish Drive be endorsed and the permits so issued.
Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Someone move adjournment. We're now adjourned. Thank you.